in regard to this petition for an ice rink in Saratoga Springs. I understand that you've gotten involved in the project. So can I ask you, how are you involved with it?
Yeah, so several months ago, I got involved in finding an ice rink location for the north of our county. And I'd say Smith Entertainment Group's call for local rinks and their willingness to fund some of them was one of the main reasons. So last year I started working on, what does it look like? Where could it go? How much is it going to cost? How will we fund it? All of those things. Is it a need? And so, yeah, I've been working on it for a while now, and I saw this petition after. So I was great to see, and we get occasional some requests or letters from little kids and things asking for it, and so it has been in the works for quite a while.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so where's the location that you're looking at for this ice
Yeah.
rink?
So to be determined, but Lehigh has been our most willing and enthusiastic partner so far. And we have several identified locations that are options. And so to be determined where, but I'd say Lehigh has been our focus with their willingness, the available parcels that we own as a county, private properties that are willing to maybe help or contribute or donate their lands. So I'd say Lehigh is the current target.
Got it. And so this petition that's circulating, Trevor Hawkins is the guy that's kind of footing that. Have you guys coordinated or talked at all?
Yeah, so I haven't met him yet. He's messaged me a couple of times, and I've been willing to give him little updates or encouragement. It's great to see public engagement. So no, we haven't formally met or coordinated, but community support is obviously very important, and so I love to see him with those efforts, even though the social scene of recreational amenities sometimes is not the most positive den to be in.
So with what you're working on, how much funding have you been able to secure so far?
Yeah, so I'd say we're probably in the 11, $12 million range, and we're still working with a construction company to give us more of a better bid, so we have an actual true target. We don't want to spend too much time or money, if it's not a feasible project. So we're still working on that total number. I think we can get a decent facility in the $16 million range. And I'd say we're pretty close there at the 11, 12 million mark. And I also want to be very clear that these funds are recreational park tax, tourism tax funds. So I'm very fiscally conservative, and no funds for this project would I support from general funds. So these are funds that will not, take away from public safety or roads, infrastructure, things that are far more important. These are dedicated funds from restaurant tax, hotel tax, rental car tax, short-term rental tax that are restricted to these kind of uses for parks, cultural amenities, recreation. So, this is what it's designed for. And why this is important is economically. So, when people are like, I don't want to spend any money on this, there's two ways we fund our government. It's through property taxes, half, and half is sales tax. And so anytime we could use a restricted fund like this to fund an amenity that drives sales tax, that lowers the burden on our residents through property tax. If we can generate higher sales tax, we can generate less property tax. And so it's important that we see these as economic opportunities as well. Our tourism division, Explore Utah Valley, is amazing. And they are our branch to schedule soccer tournaments, baseball tournaments, hockey tournaments. They say the demand is through the roof for hockey ice. We have only Provo. We have so many residents. We did a Placer AI data that kind of tells us where people come from. And the amount of people that are coming from Eagle Mountain, Saratoga Springs, Payson to Provo is enormous. And so if we can lower the trips on the road, if we can bring those opportunities closer, we can fill it with tournaments when we're available, and of course protect it for youth programming and local use as well. But tournaments is such an economic driver. I meet with our hoteliers and restaurateurs bi-monthly, and so every other month we meet and kind of get the vibe and understanding of what's going on. The amount of times they tell me the hockey tournaments have saved us in Provo is amazing. Hotels are full in weekends that otherwise wouldn't be. Restaurants, one restaurateur told me recently a soccer tournament brought 14 soccer teams through their restaurant. And so these are economic drivers as well as recreational opportunities.
Wow. And so just to clarify, you've spoken to this a bit already, but one of the concerns I see online is people concerned about raising taxes. So will the use of those park funds in any way raise taxes?
No, absolutely not. It comes from our TRCC account and partnerships with cities that I have been working on or seeking are also park tax funds. I'm not interested in supporting a project from general use tax. Absolutely not. So no, there will not be a tax increase for these funds. And I personally even voted against raising our TRT tax last year because I didn't find a need for it. So no, absolutely not is this going to be an increase in tax. And I think ongoing operational costs is very important to residents, and it is to me as well. And I'm not going to support this project if we can't have sustainable ongoing operations without using general fund. And we think we have a pro forma that does that. We think that we have enough demand. We think we have enough opportunities that will absolutely self-sustain the facility. And we have to remember on indoor facilities, they're year round. It's not soccer fields or baseball fields outdoors where I can only program it for certain months of the year. It can be programmed year round from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. We can fill it. And so we also are very, very aware of the cost of ongoing expense, and it needs to be self-sufficient.
Got it. And so this 11 or 12 million that you're talking about, those funds, are they all coming from that park tax? Or how much of that is supported, as you mentioned earlier, by the Smith Entertainment Group offer?
Yeah. So we're still working out what all those dollar amounts look like, but we're very enthusiastic here at the county of using some of our TRCC, our tourism tax, and our city partners are no one's fully committed yet, but we've had very good conversations, and it will be park recreational funds there as well. And then Smith Entertainment Group and the Mammoth have been very, very helpful to me and us on this project. They have lended a hand on the architectural side. They've lended a hand on the land side, and they're willing to contribute to our project. Still to be determined how much, but I'm optimistic that they're going to be even better partners than their $500,000 their original project, because they understand and see the value of getting a project done, and especially in a gap area between Provo and Kearns currently, and then Sandy will open soon. This really fills a gap along the Wasatch Front for ice, and so they've been great partners. And then outdoor recreation, the outdoor recreation grant from the state is also a willing participant. So we're getting there. We're going to need some private donation as well, which I think is good, and a healthy balance of getting it across the finish line. But all of those numbers are still being worked on, but a lot of people willing to help.
Wow. So it sounds like you already are, pretty far along in this, but so what's left to do? What has to happen for this to become a reality?
Yeah, so finding that last little gap, I'd say we're probably in the $3 to $4 million range. We need to close that, and so we'll start. I'm hoping to have some artistic renderings soon, and we can go to our private community and partners and companies and see if people are willing to help potential naming rights for different areas or facilities in the arena. So yeah, those kind of things, we need to close the gap, and then we need some firm commitments, where we're still working on that. Lehigh specifically is very sensitive to traffic, of course. I live there myself, and so our traffic situation is very important to our residents and quality of life. So we need to ensure that it's easily accessible and has multiple ways in and out. So where it goes is probably a big step, and then kind of finish filling that gap of finances. And also, how good do we want the facility to be? You can make it as expensive or as cheap as possible. And I think we need to find a good balance, that it lasts, that it meets the needs of economic development as well as local use. And so we've talked about even event space maybe on top for local gatherings, or people can rent for receptions and things. So I think filling the financial gap is next, and then hammering down a location as well.
Got it. Because Mr. Hawkins' petition is Saratoga Springs specific. Is that still in the running as a possibility?
Yeah, I would say it is. I would say it requires collaborative and enthusiastic local support. And I'm not sure Saratoga is as willing at this point. And Lehigh has been a very enthusiastic and willing partner. And it's not to say Saratoga is not at all. They're very good partners, but I don't. This is probably not on their priority list now. They're also, a younger community, and so their needs and priorities are different. They don't have a rec center, and I know that's a priority for many. They've invested a lot in baseball. And so, each community has their own priorities. And so, would I say Saratoga is ruled out? Definitely not. And as far as my perspective, we just want to serve the county as a whole. So, where it goes and is not as important. There's no borders when it comes to, these kind of facilities. So, I'd say Saratoga is an option, but I think Lehigh has been my target so far because of their willingness to participate.
Okay, thank you. And my last question for you, I was just looking around at a previous story I've done, reading what people have said online. A lot of people have kind of said they would rather see a rec center, things like that. You've spoken to this a little bit earlier, but what's the appetite for an ice rink in this area?
Yeah. I think the appetite is very high. We have the data to support it. Like I said, we've done some technology pieces to see where people are going to where people are coming from to the Provo Arena, and to the Kearns facility. And so we have data that supports it. Our tourism division, like I said, at Explore Utah Valley, has 100% confirmed to me they can fill it with some good tournaments. And so we do know the demand is there. As far as recreational facilities, they're very, very expensive. And as a county, Utah County, we're very fiscally conservative. Salt Lake County determined many years ago to have a regional county rec center system as well as a library system. And many decades ago, our county decided not to do that. And it's a financial thing. For a $600,000 house in Salt Lake, you pay like $600 in property tax to Salt Lake County. In Utah County, for a $600,000 house, you pay about $235 to the county. So, there's a wide range of income revenues there. And so we've determined many years ago that we're not in the business of county rec centers. And each city kind of has taken that at their own prerogative. And Spanish Fork just built a beautiful one. Springville was the last one to build a beautiful one. Orem has a great one. Provo has one. Lehigh has one. So each community is kind of left to determine if that's a need or a priority for them.
So you see this as sort of a much cheaper way of bringing recreation and filling a need that you've heard from your experts.
Yeah, absolutely. With that tourism tax account, there's two big priorities that we focus on, and one is to invest in that account. So economic activity is so important. We want more people in hotels, more people eating out, more people renting cars. And then the other aspect to that is local recreational and quality of life. And so if we can bring a new amenity closer to people, then that serves both. And this one serves economic and recreational. And I'd say transportational improvements as well, because if we can take people off the road to have to drive to Provo for their kids' soccer practice or their hockey practice or hockey games, then that's helping there as well. So I do see it as many different things are being improved with this facility. And to your point of rec versus this, yeah, a rec center's 70 million, and this I think we're targeting in the $16 million range. So it's also more cost prohibitive. Would we want bigger, better facilities in this situation? Yes, but is it better to get a facility done that is much more affordable? I think is a yes.
Well, thank you so much. That's all the questions I have. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think we covered a lot, and I've given a lot of background and kind of the thought process and economics, recreation, where the funds are coming from. I think we covered a good depth.